Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Joining us live from our Abuja studio is the program lead, Social Justice and Equity Program, Yadua Foundation, Gender and Development Professional. She's here to discuss the thought-provoking double minority documentary. Welcome to the show, Regina Alachi. Regina, you'll be offering a lot of, I could not pronounce the middle name, so I hope I did a good job of that because I can see you smiling on screen. But we're expecting you to offer nuanced perspective on the documentary theme. So you can join the conversation by calling us on 020-1635-2013 or 0902-416-3440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view TVC so that we can read your tweets. We're also streaming on YouTube and we'd love to hear from you. Now, the documentary, let me just start off with, what is special about this documentary that you're pushing? Double minority.
Okay, so for one, the documentary is one that explores the exciting, should I say exciting? More like the journey of 8 wonderful women who ran for office during the 2023 election. Ooh. And what this documentary explored were their efforts building up to the election, the challenges they faced, as well as, the courage they had to push beyond the barriers and succeed in these positions.
Interesting.
So it was one that explored their grit, their passion, and everything they had to deal with building up to the 2023 election.
Okay, so you talked about 8 women. So if you are told to pick 3 of the women that you found their stories resonating to you, can you tell us which of the women you would pick and why their stories really resonated with you?
Okay, so for one, I think it's very relatable to women in Nigeria because sometimes we are referred to as a double minority in different cases. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a practical example. A woman from Benue State, for instance, who is from Idoma, who is an Idoma lady, it's considered a minority. Now, already, as a result of her gender, she's already disproportionately marginalized. And seeing that she's from a minority group, if she should want to contest for political office, she has no level playing field. She's considered a minority on both grounds. If I was to pick 3 of the women, I wouldn't know who to pick. I would pick all of them because their stories are relatable. But stick to the story of Natasha, for instance. She spoke about how her father has helped build her resilience over time, the fact that he was very prominent in her state. And then there was, of course, Olusola as well from Ekiti. And we had Iweti Kingibe, who spoke about their story. We had Ebere Uchendu. There were just a lot of passion from these women. You could see that the fact that the system is structured against them was not helpful to begin with. Some had issues with political funding and financing. There was the stereotype against them as women because in our society, women are not seen particularly as full humans. That is why sometimes their rights are not respected. That is why sometimes they are not allowed to fully express themselves. And if we say we practice democracy, a full democracy, right, we're supposed to ensure that it's not a spectator kind of sport. Every woman is supposed to be actively involved in the democracy of Nigeria. And no democracy can attain its full potential if it systemically excludes half of its human capital. So not just 3 of the women, but all the women are people who every woman watching, and myself particularly, can relate to because they struggle on both the front that they've been marginalized based on their gender and the different regions or ethnicity they come from.
Okay, so women in leadership, men in leadership just need money, really, to get to office. But women in leadership must acquire certain soft skills. In fact, women anywhere in the world, we must acquire diplomatic skill. You must play one game. You must learn everything. You know how to talk to them.
You cannot shout too much.
Your husband's people. You know, women must have one skill or the other they must acquire to advance in life. What will you say stands out among the 8 women on this documentary that, you know, any woman, because now we must acquire so that we can understudy them?
Well, for me, I would say courage, because it takes a certain type of knowing and courage to want to do what other people cannot do, not necessarily because they are incapable now, but because of certain barriers that have been placed in front of them. So we know women face systemic barriers, they face barriers from different angles, the structures are not in favor of them, right? And so for these women, they were able to push beyond the barriers. They did a lot of fighting, if you allow me to use that word. And you could see that despite the pushbacks, they were not ready to give up. They showed hope at every given time. One thing that really stood out for me was courage. Some of them didn't have enough political funding, but you could see that they kept pushing, because once one woman is able to break through this glass ceiling, it is automatically an opportunity for another woman to do the same. So it's a story of hope. It's the fact that they were courageous enough to go against a system that necessarily did not offer them a level playing field. So we know that we had about 15,000, I think 269 candidates that ran in the 2023 election. 8,544 were women. And out of this number, imagine 8,544 women competing against 13,000 plus.
Yes.
I think if you do the maths in subtraction and all, you find that there's no level playing field, right, to begin with. But these women stood their ground, aside the fact that they went through political violence where they were threatened. Natasha reported having been told, called names rather, like prostitutes, ashawo, and all that sort of things. These are things that women on a daily go through. Like, for instance, you're in the marketplace, and because you refuse to buy a certain goods from someone, you're being labeled a prostitute. But regardless of the name calling, regardless of the limited funding, regardless of the low statistics of women in these seats, these women were able to push forward, break through the system, and dismantle, if you allow me to say, a barrier that was already set up against them. It's an inspiring story, and I cannot wait for the rest of the world to get to have a feel of this documentary. It's one that speaks to your soul. It speaks solely to your soul, and it sheds light on the realities of the Nigerian woman. Because you can imagine, out of 100%, we have just less than, up to 5%, because we have 3% in Senate, 4% in the House of Rep. So the statistics are glaring, and it's just a representation of how much we are operating with one hand tied behind our backs as the giant of Africa. Because you call yourself giant of Africa, but you're not able to operate in full capacity because you have excluded half of your human capital. So long and short of it is that it's a story of courage and hope in face of adversity and barriers setting for women in politics and leadership.
Thank you for that. You know, I'm looking forward to watching this documentary. But I would just like to, but what would you say? What would you like for Nigerian women to take away from this, especially when it comes to supporting those women who are courageous, who are courageous and who want to, you know, going against the grain? What would you want for the Nigerian woman, you know, how would you want her to show support to women like this?
Okay, so I would say at every point in time, we already know that Nigerian women make up to 47.5 or 49% registered voters. So where are these numbers when women like us come out to participate in politics or run for a leadership role at every point in time? I know that sometimes it could be fear of not wanting to be seen as being too much, or I've heard phrases like women do not support women. I think that is a big lie, right? If every woman who is a registered voter comes out in the next election to cast their vote for capable female candidates, we're going to see a change in it. We already have a system that is built against us. And we, as the half of the population, if you let me say that, I can't say that, of course, we can create a change. We can be the change we want to see. First, by supporting capable female candidates. Also, casting our votes during elections, not staying silent. If anything involves women leadership, we already do that at the grassroots level. We have women who are political mobilizers. When these men want to run for offices, they go to women in the local markets. They meet women who are in charge of a community, and they call them the women leader, and they are able to mobilize people for these people. So women should also be mobilizers for fellow women.
That's so.
And to every young girl who wants to, be in leadership, regardless of your age now, you have the capacity to do this, right? It is very scary when it seems like everything is against you, the system is already stacked against you. But these stories of these women who have been able to break through should be an inspiration to us all.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We've had with us Regina Alachi, who is the head of the Yadua Foundation, team lead of Yadua Foundation. She's shedding light on the documentary Double Minority. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for helping us to see. I think it's putting into context something we already have an idea about. A lot of women in politics and even out here know that it seems to be you're a double minority when you're a woman, but you put it into context, especially taking the story. So we're all looking forward to watching this documentary. Can you tell us how we can see it, please?
Okay, yes. So the documentary is going to premiere on the 14th of July, on Monday, here in Abuja at the Yaradua Center.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We look forward to getting more information after it's out. That's all we can take on this segment. Thank you for sharing your information with us and helping us to see how hard it is for women to emerge politically. We'll take a break now. When we return, we continue with the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Imagine a country with over 300 plenty languages. Why you go the only focus on Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo? Where we get a common language, where they unite everybody from Oga to even Madam self, and every person where they for street. That now